What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Saturday Night Live. That's right. Uh, your boy Allen here. We're going to talk some start, sits, injuries. Anthony Richardson is benched. They benched Anthony Richardson. Joe Flacco is getting the start. Joe Flacco in there. We want to start Pittman. Pittman's now a viable option with Flacco playing versus Anthony Richardson. As well as Flacco's not that bad of an option. I mean, I like Flacco. I like him when he's playing, obviously, right? Um, Edits, what is going on, brother? How we doing? How we looking this week? Hopefully, we're looking good. Michael, what is up, sir? I'm playing the number 2 team and I'm number 3. Well, let's change that. Let's change that. Famous Jameis. I like Jameis. Look good. He looks good. Here's the thing: the good and the bad with Jameis. He's going to throw you some touchdowns. He's also going to throw you some interceptions. Um, he'll sling the crap out of that ball. With him playing, Tillman's definitely an option to start. I don't mind Jameis. You know, um, like I said, he's gonna throw you some TDs, but he's also gonna throw you some INTs. Look for a flex this week with Brian Thomas being hurt. So what are our options, Edits? What's our options? Let's hear what you got. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This is a softball Saturday weekend, so I haven't had a chance to do a whole lot of research before coming into this. Yeah, Brian Thomas is a game time decision, so we definitely want to look at some other options. With him being a 3 o'clock game, we, we want to go with the guy again. We talk about it every week. I got a guy who's a game time decision, or I got a guy who's healthy. Taking the guy who's healthy, especially when you got a game guys playing a little bit of a later game. Most of your games are at noon, so if you have someone who's healthy at noon, we play them versus. Fingers crossed. Hope Brian Thomas plays. For flex, I got Josh Downs. I like Downs with Flacco in there. Jake Ferguson, Deontay Johnson, Jordan Addison, and Waddle. So we're choosing. How many of those people we choosing? What is it? Should we just got to choose one of those guys? Because you got some damn good options. I like Waddle now that Tua's back. Not sure who they're playing this week, but I definitely like Waddle with Tua back. We've got to choose one of them. Man, that's a little bit of an embarrassment of riches, is what I'm saying. They're playing Buffalo. Buffalo's tough. Um, Last week with Tua back, he had 4 catches for 45 yards on 6 targets. Okay. Let's see here. I ended up benching Adams for London, Chase, and Puka, and of course Adams gets 22 while playing against Wilson this weekend. He goes off. Yeah. Um, who knew? Like we haven't been expecting much out of them. Garrett Wilson and Jamar Chase are wide receiver 1 and 2. Okay, so you got and Garrett Wilson already played. He had you a good week. Obviously, we're starting Chase. I mean, that's a no brainer right there. Um, I don't know that I want to play Deontay Johnson week 1 in the new offense. I think I want to give him some time to get adjusted, to get acclimated, to learn the offense, as well as I think we're almost dealing with a crowded wide receiver room too, right? Jordan Addison is playing Indy. He hasn't been great as of late. Really hasn't been great this year, honestly. I mean, we're hoping for a TD. He's 3 catches every week, except for last week he had 2. So I don't know that I think we're gonna go Waddle, maybe Josh Downs. But to me, it's between Downs and Waddle, and I like Downs with Flacco in there. Sunday night game. He was dealing with a toe injury. He's been removed from the injury list. There's no risk of him missing or anything like that. I mean, last week he was 4 for 109 with a touchdown. Um, they're playing Minnesota. Minnesota is one of the worst. They give up the most points to wide receivers, so I think I want to look at that. I want to go. I want to go with Josh Downs, especially with Flacco playing. They're really going to sling the ball around for sure. They really are. Lex is in the house. What's going on, Lex? Olave, Pittman, McConkey, Hopkins. Need 2 in the flex in PPR. I'm going Pittman with Flacco playing. Is Derek Carr back? I know they were looking at him to come back this week. I hadn't seen anything. It looks like Carr is back. He's off the injury report. He's good to go. So we're definitely good with putting Olave in, especially with Rashid Shaheed being out, which is Carr's favorite target. So I want to go Olave and Pittman. Olave and Pittman. Hopkins, I'm just not sold 100% on what his actual value is going to be there in Kansas City. He had 2 catches for 29 yards last week on 3 targets. I mean, okay. Andy Reid does say I think you'll be able to see more out of Hopkins this game, but I mean, he only played 23 snaps last week. I'm going to go with Olave and Pittman. Those are my choices there, Lex. Waddle had 8 last week, and Joe Flacco was starting. Yeah, that's why I'm going with. I like, but we don't know what we're getting out of Deontay. First week in the new offense. Jake Ferguson, I don't know. He's been subpar this year. Jordan Addison, 2 to 3 catches a week, 3 catches every week. So for last week he had 2. I just think Waddle, the potential there for Waddle is way higher, way higher. Kicker question: Chase McLaughlin or Will Record this week? Well, I don't know, man. Let's take a look. I'll be honest. I don't even know what team those guys are on. Chase is with Tampa Bay against Kansas City. Okay, and then Minnesota. You know what? Let's go with the Minnesota kicker, Will Reichard. Will Reichard over Chase with Tampa against Kansas City. Kansas City's defense is legit. I love Kansas City's defense this year. They're the reason why they've won pretty much most of the games. So that's where I'm going with. How'd the games go today? We went 1-1 in pool play, and we played our first bracket game, and we lost a tough one. Girls just weren't focused going into it. So we go into tomorrow with single elimination, winner go home. We ended up in the diamond bracket, top bracket. There was 3 brackets. We ended up in the top bracket, so we got that going for us. Lost a tough one in game 1, and then game 2 was we rolled through them 12-0, and then we lost a tough one 6-2 this last one. Kittle played pretty good. She pitched. First inning was a little rough pitching. Second inning was good. She's been hitting the crap out of the ball, getting on base, all that fun stuff. So we had a good time. Just got to come. We just got to bring it tomorrow. Thanks for asking, Michael. I appreciate it. Yeah, I like with Carback. Yeah. Also, Caleb Williams or Bo Nix last week. We were off, but I still won with 130. There we go. It's yeah, man. Bo Nix is starting to show up, like legit. What we're getting out of Bo Nix here lately has been great. He's got Baltimore this week, which Baltimore gives up a ton of points. But I mean, Bo Nix was 284 with 3 touchdowns, and he had a rushing touchdown. I mean, come on, we weren't gonna. He's not gonna have a better game than that all season, right? But I mean, the last 4 weeks for Bo Nix, with the exception against New Orleans, we're looking at 20 plus points from him, a couple of touchdowns a week. They're really starting to open up that offense a little bit more. Nice matchup against Baltimore. Baltimore gives up a lot of points to QBs. Caleb has just not been. I mean, I kind of talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the season, but he had started to kind of figure some things out. But Jaden was the better quarterback last week. And I'm just going to tell you right now, just kind of looking at things right now, he's not the number 2. I think Bo Nix is really working on passing him up. If Bo Nix hasn't already passed him up, let's just be real. Caleb's not even in the discussion for Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. To me, just hasn't been that great. I'm glad you still won. I don't know, man. I thought it was a good matchup. I thought he was going to show out for his duel against Jane Daniels. A lot of people did, and it just didn't happen. Hey, we hit some and we missed some, right? But hey, you still got the win, so that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Mooney Hopkins are really this week PPR. I'm not so again. I want to see more of what we're going to get out of Hopkins before I'm ready to commit to him. Um, Ridley's just been kind of. We talked about him a couple weeks ago. He's just kind of floating through the season. I think they're playing New England. Um, I mean, he had a great week last week against Detroit, 10 for 143. But outside of that, it's TD in week 2. The only other time he's got you double digit points. He was removed from the injury report, so we don't have to worry about that. I like Mooney. I'm not gonna lie. I like that. I like that Atlanta offense against Dallas this week. Let's just be real here. Um, I think Mooney's a safer play for you. Um, with Ridley, we're hoping and praying for a TD, and if we don't get the TD, we're out of luck. Again, he had a great week against Detroit, but Detroit kind of gives up some points to wide receivers. They do, um, but I think Mooney is a safer play in that situation. Hopefully, we'll learn a little bit more about Hopkins' role in that Kansas City offense this week. Um, I'm still going to caution everybody on Hopkins because he is older. He's not. This isn't Hopkins from 5 years ago. I told you guys last week don't play him, and I mean he only had 2 catches, 3 targets, 2 catches, 29 yards. Um, I'm gonna operate with the caution when it comes to Hopkins again this week, and I just want to say let's just wait. We don't need to rush into things, okay? But I think Mooney's your safer play there, Lex. That's who I would play. Me personally, I'd be playing Mooney. I have been happy with Ridley's performance at all this year, although I didn't think he was going to have that great of a year this year. I mean, he went from a team where he had, Trevor Lawrence, although Trevor Lawrence hasn't been that great this year, but Trevor Lawrence is better than whoever they're rolling out over there in Tennessee. I think it's Mason Rudolph right now, but yeah. Pick 3 PPR. All right, what we got here? Kincaid, Sutton, D Hop, Tillman, Ladd, and Waddle. Again, guys, I'm not sold on D Hop yet. I'm pumping the brakes on him. I like Tillman with who are they playing again? Let me look real quick. They're playing the Chargers, tougher defense. They don't give up a ton of points. They give up the least amount of points to wide receivers. Now, Tillman in the last 3 weeks, 8 catches, 81 last 2 weeks, 8 catches, 81 yards, and 7 catches for 99 yards and 2 touchdowns last week against Baltimore. I like him with Jameson there. And that's when he really was doing his damage. So I want to go Tillman. I want to go Waddle. And then for number 3, what is I like, again, I was just talking about it a second ago. I like the performance of Bo Nix here lately. Last week, Sutton had a big game, 8 catches for 11 yards. Baltimore gives up a ton of points to wide receivers. They're number 2 in the league in that respect. So with that, I want to go Tillman and I want to go Sutton. That's who I'm going with, T. Pick 1 PPR. Knicks at Ravens or Cousins versus not your grandfather's Cowboys. Cousins. The Cowboys are awful. Cowboys are trash. Cousins. While I do believe they are going to run the ball a lot, they are going to sling the ball around too. Let's pencil in 200 yards and 2 to 3 touchdowns. Yeah, I Cousins. I love Cousins though. Like, I'm an unapologetic Cousins lover. I am. I actually picked him up last week and started him. He was still a free agent. I picked him up last week and started him because I wasn't feeling great about Baker. And so, yeah, I rolled with him last week, and he played 4 touchdowns, right? 276 yards, 4 touchdowns. Um, I mean, we've got a couple weeks that are kind of, but I mean, for the most part, I think Cousins is a safer player. I like Cousins. Let's see here. Pick one PPR. Knicks or oh wait, we just did that one. Chargers starting Cousins. Yep. Which side do I want more of? What, Chandler? Oh, okay, all right. Here we go. We got the options. I just saw your trade, T. One player for both of them. And you're put the okay. We'll talk about it in a second. All right, Chandler. Team A: Purdy, Debo, CMC, Ingram. Team B: Hurts, AGB, and Kelsey. Well, I mean, I don't like CMC. And is Debo playing this week? Helps if I could spell right. He's questionable right now. Wait, I think he's on a bye this week. So what's the? Hold on, I'm confused about this. It's obviously not for this week because Purdy, Debo, we don't know if CMC is ever going to play football again. And Ingram hasn't been that great this year. I like Hurts. Um, I like Kelsey. AJB. Is that supposed to be Antonio Brown? It's a trade. Oh, well, is that it? Who's AJB? Chandler. Is this supposed to be Antonio Brown Jr.? Or am I completely just missing a name? Let me know. AJ Brown. Yeah, Antonio Brown Jr. Why was I thinking Antonio Brown Jr.? Oh my gosh, guys. That's yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, Eagles right. Yeah, that's who I was thinking. As I was saying Antonio Brown Jr., I'm thinking AJ Brown. I don't know. I'm dyslexic in my brain. No. Okay. I like team B aspect of that. Tebow's banged up. CMC may never play football again. I like Purdy, but I think Hurts has kind of got you get the Hurts and the AJ Brown connection. I like Kelsey going forward, especially over Ingram. Yeah, I like Team B. So hopefully your team B in this situation, or you're getting Hurts and AJ Brown and Kelsey. And my brain hurts. I can't believe I fudged that. But yeah, no, I like whoever's getting Team B because those are players that I want over a guy I don't know is ever going to play football again. Debo, who's just battling injuries. Ingram hasn't been that great. Purdy's not bad. T, you just traded Brian Thomas Jr. for Waddle and Sutton. You sly SOB. um, I mean, you're getting two good receivers for one. Sutton's been looking good here as of late. Now, if Bo Nix has a regression, that kind of sucks. But I like Waddle. I just think, last week was Tua's first week back. Look for Waddle to have a bigger week this week. Yeah. 60. Yeah, it's a trade. AJ Brown. Yeah, I know. I don't know what I was thinking, man. Another league guy just offered me Ramondre Stevenson for Brian Thomas Jr. Okay, so you would be getting Ramondre and giving up Brian Thomas. If I'm reading that right, just let me know. Your RBs right now are Aaron Jones, Ty Chandler, Chase Brown, and Chuba Hubbard. Wide receivers are Sutton, Puka, Garrett Wilson, Tillman, and AJ Brown. Yeah, I go ahead and get Ramondre in that situation. For Brian Thomas, yeah, I mean because you need the running back help. Because I mean, Ty Chandler, Chase Brown's been playing better as of late, getting more. Yeah, I'd be getting Stevens. Yeah, I think I'd go ahead and pull the trigger on that. You're good wide receiver wise. You still got Sutton, Puka, which Puka's battling a knee injury right now. But I mean, Garrett Wilson. I like Tillman with Jameis in there. Especially with Amari Cooper gone now. You got to have a number one, right? I don't know if Tillman's going to be the number one, but he definitely looks like it. And AJ Brown, yeah. Yeah, I think you need the running back help in that situation because I think Jonathan Brooks might be starting to play here pretty soon as well for Carolina. So when that happens, I think you see a kind of a dip in Hubbard's production just based on how Brooks plays. And Brooks is a guy they drafted for the future. Um, so yeah, I would trade Ramondre Stevenson for Brian Thomas Jr. Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's crazy? I initially sent him Brian Thomas Jr. for Waddle straight up. He canceled it and sent me Sutton and Waddle back. Dude, just hit accept. Yeah, yeah. No, I feel confident in taking that trade, T. Yeah. You're welcome, brother. Hey, that's what we're here for. We're sounding boards. We're gonna talk it out. Yeah. I like Ramondre going forward. He had the one game where they benched him to start the game, and then he said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, no, put me back in, coach," and he balled out. And I like him going forward. I think Drake May is going to get better as the season goes on. Um, I like Ramondre. Yeah, it's like Christmas come early this weekend. Yeah, I mean that's crazy. You sent him Brian Thomas Jr. and Waddle straight up, and he said no. I want to give you Sutton and Waddle. Like, it's crazy. Did he break up with his girl and she saw it? She had access to his computer and saw it and was like, no, I'm going to give you more. That's crazy. That is crazy. Yeah, no, you definitely improved your team, T. Definitely improved your team there. Oh, those are two different teams. But yeah, no, those are good moves. Those are good moves, man. And I'm not one that I love making deals, but they got to have a point to them. And in both of those cases, I mean, you gave up one guy for two good guys. I don't know what's going on. Same guy traded Aaron Jones for Mayfield later. He got rid of Aaron Jones for Baker Mayfield. I mean, I like Baker. I like Baker. I'm not a huge Aaron Jones fan. Um, I'm just waiting for. I like Aaron Jones. He's just burnt. Let me say this. He's burned me the last couple of years. How about that? I drafted him pretty high last year, and he got me. His other QBs were loving golf. I'm not trading for Baker then. I mean, unless you just think Love's dealing with the quad injury, right? But you got Goff, and I love Goff. Like unapologetic Lions fan loves Goff, but still, he's a guy that I've been rolling with in a couple of leagues, and he's done good, done good. Yeah, I mean, I'm not super excited about Aaron Jones. I mean, going forward, he's got some pretty tough matchups, some pretty easy matchups, but I don't know. I definitely dude's 3-5, and I think he's desperate. He's desperate in the wrong way though. Like you're not making moves that are making your team better. Um, you're just not. I, if you're I start golf also 2 QB league. Oh yeah, especially in a 2 QB league, having golf. Yes, yes, sir. Golf's played great this year. I mean, talking real football talk. Um, very quite possibly if the season keeps going the way it's going, he keeps playing the way he's going, MVP. Detroit just keeps rolling through teams and playing great. Great matchup tomorrow. Detroit and Green Bay. I'm looking forward to that game. Um, although I could miss it just depending on how the kiddo does. We're win or go home at this point. First game's at 9:30. We could go out there and lose our first game, then I'll be home in time for the games. But if not, it could be a long day. If we make it fight our way back through all the way through like we did a couple weeks ago, we're looking at 6 o'clock for the championship, and I missed everything. So we'll see. We thinking Lions, Ravens, Super Bowl? No, Lions. But I have a hard time picking against Kansas City. We are hoping for a long day. I don't mind missing football if we're at a tournament for the kiddo and they're winning, they're playing great, right? Don't mind it at all. I'll catch everything afterwards. All my lineups will already be set. I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to tinker with anything. Just let it go and then see what happens and then catch all the highlights later. I would rather that. So that's real. Chiefs are bought and paid for, just jokes. I mean, seriously, but yeah, it's tough beating the Chiefs and the refs. Pat Mahomes has played awful this year. Let's just be honest. Fantasy wise, you can't even start him. We talked about it a few weeks ago. On a 5-game win streak, and now I'm third in leading scorer. There you go, Michael. That's what we're talking about. But you can't start Pat Mahomes if you have him. I'm not. He's on my bench. I made the move a couple weeks ago. Now it was easy when I had drafted Joe Burrow. Like Joe Burrow was hanging around in like the 10th round in one of my leagues, and I was like, looking, I'm like, am I being recorded? Am I being punked right now? Pranked? Like, is this a prank show type thing? And no, he was still sitting there in the 10th round, and I picked him up, and it was just I made the move probably about 3-4 weeks ago and went with Joey B. And I'm not even thinking about putting Mahomes back in. Not even an option. And there's a lot of quarterbacks I'll start over Mahomes right now in fantasy. Now, real football is a different thing, but fantasy, you just can't play him. You can't play the guy right now. He's not playing good football. I dropped Mahomes after week 3. Damn, just straight up dropped him. See, I'm not doing that, T. I ain't got the cojones you got. I'm not dropping Mahomes, but I sure as hell ain't playing him. Tried several trade offers to no avail, running with Nix and Kirk now, 5-3 in second place. Hey, Nix has played great the last few weeks, and I love Kirk Cousins. What can I say? Yeah, and I think Kirk Cousins is one of those guys who can get better as the season goes on. The more and more comfortable he gets in that system with those receivers, I like Kirk Cousins. I do. I really do. Again, I picked him up in the league last week because I wasn't comfortable with Mayfield, and Kirk Cousins was sitting there, and so I went with him. And I mean, I would have been fine if I had played Mayfield. Mayfield played good last week, but he did not play as well as Kirk Cousins did. And I think Kirk Cousins is going to have a big game this week. I think Bijan's going to have a big game this week. You might even get a big game out of Algier. Dallas can't stop the run. So, Otton or McBride. I like Otton, especially with all the receivers out over there in Tampa. Let me just double check here. I mean, they are playing Kansas City, but I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I mean, last week 2 weeks in a row, 8 catches for 100, 9 catches for 81 and 2 touchdowns, 10 targets 2 weeks in a row, 10 weeks in a row. I like Cade Otton. Kansas City gives up the second most points to tight ends as well. That's one thing that they do not do well, John. Give me Cade Otton. He's been the number 1 target of Baker the last 2 weeks. So let's go with him. Stevenson, Dobbs, JSN, or Tillman. Choosing one. Is it PPR, John? I need to know for this one. Are we dealing with a PPR or not? Dobbs, I'm going to kind of rule out because we don't know for sure if Love is gonna play. Otton is a must start. Agreed. Wish I had him. Yeah. I don't know that I want to play Dobbs without knowing whether or not Jordan Love is playing or not. All the signs point towards him playing, but it's that afternoon game. You can miss out on playing some other guys. To me, it's Stevenson or Tillman. I want to know if you're dealing with PPR though, because I think that makes a difference in my book. Who is Stevenson playing? Let me look. They're playing Tennessee. Oh, buddy, Tennessee's not good. They're 14th against the run, but woo, buddy. No, it's not PPR. It's standard. If it's standard, I'm going to go with Stevenson. Standard, I'm definitely going to go with Stevenson. PPR, you could talk me into Tillman. He's had 2 great weeks. I think the big thing with him is you're getting a lot of receptions there. So Non-PPR, give me Stevenson. Non-PPR for if we're going just straight up standard, I want to go with Stevenson. Great matchup against Tennessee. Tennessee just they're not looking good at all. So Taysom Hill or Kincaid, you may not be able to talk me off the Taysom Hill edge. I love your thinking, so I'm asking anyway. Okay, all right, T. So let's take a look here. Have we gotten? Okay, let me say this: huge Taysom Hill fan, huge fan. Here's the thing, though: we're not getting anything out of him. We're 100% TD dependent. 100% TD dependent. If he doesn't score a TD, you almost might as well not even play a tight end. That's it. He's had one good week and he scored 2 touchdowns. Dalton Kincaid, on the other half, he's going to get you a few catches. He's going to get you some yards. Again, I mean, as far as big production, he's got to get the TD, right? We're getting 3 to 5 receptions, right? 30 to 50 yards. Nothing great, but I you can't argue with here's the problem. You're always drop Garoto for Dowdle. Don't need to start. I don't know, man. Hold on, John. I'll get you in a second. I just read that as I'm reading there. I honestly I don't think I want to do that, but um I don't think I want to do that for Dowdle. I mean, Dowdle was sick last week signing autographs on the sideline. Okay, back on Taysom Hill. I digress. I'll get to you in a second, John. Sorry. Here's the thing. If Taysom Hill has a big week, then you're like, crap, I should have started him. It's the fear. It's the FOMO with T, is what it is. The fear of missing out. Because when Taysom Hill has a good game, it's a big game. It's 20 points or it's 2 points. There's no in between. He's going to get you a couple yards, a couple catches, a couple yards, maybe run the ball a couple times, maybe complete a pass, but nothing big. Or he's going to go off and get you 2 to 3 touchdowns, maybe even throw a touchdown pass. I mean, it's a fear of missing out with Taysom Hill is what it is. 100%. But the safe play is Kincaid. It's do you need to hit a home run with your tight end or not? And if you need to hit a home run for your tight end to get a win, we're having issues elsewhere in our lineup, right? I'm going to play Kincaid. I'm not rostering Taysom. I mean, I'm not going to fault you for rostering him. I love the guy. Love the guy. A couple of years ago, I think it was like 3 years ago, he was your number one scoring tight end, but he's not the same guy. He's not used the same way as he was then. It's boom or bust with him. Kincaid, you're going to get some. You're going to get some points out of him, 100%. But again, it's the fear of missing out with Taysom Hill. That's what it is. You don't want to have him on your bench when he scores you 20 points, because then you're kicking yourself saying, I should have started Taysom Hill. Meanwhile, the other 8 weeks this season, you're like, why did I start Taysom Hill? You've had 1 week where you're like, I love Taysom Hill. He's the best ever. Every other week, you're like, why did I start this guy? Get past the fear of missing out. Play Kincaid. Now, saying all this, Taysom Hill's going to go off tomorrow because I said don't play him and play Kincaid, right? That's just the way it works. But, yeah, it's the fear of missing out with Taysom Hill is what it is. And that's why I won't roster him now. Because if I roster him, I'm playing him. That's just all there's to it. Because I love the guy, and he's so fun to watch. All right. Should I drop Guerendo for Dowdle? Don't need to start him. Hey, but those are good options. I'll get into that here in a second, T. I don't. Guerendo played great last week against the Cowboys, so let's take it with a grain of salt. But Dowdle's not. They said he was sick last week, but he's on the sideline signing autographs. This guy didn't look sick. He didn't look sick at all. So I don't know, man. I don't think that I. What's our look on Mason? Hold on a second. because that's the concern, right? Jordan Mason comes back, and now Grundo doesn't play, but I think he might have earned some time. He re-aggravated his shoulder strain. Um, After he went to the locker room just for halftime. However, he never played a snap as Grundo hauled. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, running wise, the 49ers have a lot of good options. I don't think I do. I really don't. Um, Especially since you don't need to start. Since you don't need to start them, I'm going to hold on to the guy that's got the bigger potential versus the guy that we know we're getting out of Dowdle. We're not getting a lot. We're not getting much. We're 100% TD dependent on him. If he doesn't get a TD, meh. But yeah, I wouldn't. I would hold on to Grundo, especially for Dowdle. I want no part of the Dallas running game. No part of it. They're not good at the run. Well, they're not good at football right now, but especially not the run. All right, you convinced me. May drop Taysom Hill for Leggett or Isaac G. I'm leaning more towards the Leggett side of things. Deontay Johnson's not there anymore. It's time for Leggett to step up and be a big boy. He's got to put on his big boy pants, and he's got to catch the football. And he's got to catch it a lot. I think he's going to get targeted more. I think the Panthers really want to see what they have with Leggett, and I think that's why they were able to say, you know what, hey, we're not going anywhere right now. Let's roll with some younger guys. I think they're back with Bryce Young again this week. We're not Andy Dalton, are we? I mean, if we're Andy Dalton, I love Andy Dalton more, honestly. Let's just be for real. Full participant practice Wednesday after injuring his thumb in accident last week, inactive. Practice in full, but he won't start. So Bryce Young is getting the start again. Okay. But I want to. They need to see what they got with Leggett going in the next season. Do we have a legit? We drafted him as a wide receiver number 1. Do we have a wide receiver number 1? So I think this guy's going to start getting a lot more targets because they want to see what they get. Now, targets are going to depend on how he's running, but he's got to look at this. And I think ownership and the team and they got to go up to him and say, "Hey, look, we traded Deontay because you're our number 1. We want you to be our number 1. Show us what you can do." So I think I would drop Taysom Hill for Leggett. The concern with Isaac Grundo is how much playing time is he going to get? Again, I wouldn't drop Grundo for Dowdle. I think he's got the higher ceiling, but I like Leggett's options going forward. Let's say that. John, Cousins or Knicks? I want to go Cousins. They're playing Dallas. Dallas is trash. That's just all there is to it. They're playing Baltimore. They give up the third most points to wide receivers. But here's my thing with that. I like Harbaugh coaching against a rookie quarterback. Now Knicks could definitely go off again for sure, but of those two guys, I like Kirk Cousins. I think we're looking at 200 plus yards and at least 2 TDs out of Kirk Cousins tomorrow, maybe more for sure, because I think Atlanta they definitely want to throw the ball a decent amount, as well as. But I do think they need to look to establish the run and get that run game going. Get Bijan Robinson a really good game under his belt, and let him rush for 100 yards and 1 to 2 touchdowns. But you could also see a big game out of Tyler Algier tomorrow too, because Dallas just sucks against the run. But yeah. Do I think Leggett is better than Waddle? ROS, Michael, help me out here, brother. I'm not. No, I don't think Leggett's better than Waddle. Let's see, rest of the season. Okay, all right, rest of the season. I want to see what happens this week, because here's the thing. I trust Waddle's quarterback more than I do Leggett's quarterback. Bryce Young just hasn't been good. Now, he did play a little bit better last week. I give Waddle the nod over Leggett, because of Tua. And if we got Tua and now we're assuming we get Tua for the rest of the season, right? Now, if we end up going with Andy Dalton here pretty soon, I'd like Dalton in there throwing the Leggett. But if we're assuming that, because again, Andy Dalton practiced this week, but they're not starting him. I think they bench the kid for a few weeks, to just have him say, "Hey, look, we got this guy here who will play over you, right?" And so they bench him. He comes out. He plays better last week. Not great, but better. Um, you want to see what Leggett does as the number one without Deontay Johnson there taking away the spotlight, taking away the shine. So as of right now, I want to go Waddle, but I want to revisit in 2 weeks. How's that? Let's revisit that again here in 2 weeks. T drop D Hop or Taysom Hill for Leggett. I drop Taysom. I drop Taysom for him because D Hop still, again, I'm still on a holding period for D Hop. He didn't play a ton of snaps last week. He's supposed to play more this week. We're going to hold off on playing D Hop, but I want to see what he does this week. Taysom, it's just, again, 1 week. We're on week 9. He's had one good week in 8 weeks. With Taysom, it's the fear of missing out. You can drop Taysom and no one's going to pick him up. If you drop D-Hop, someone's going to pick him up. That's 100% what's going to happen. Someone will use a waiver claim on D-Hop. No one's using a waiver claim on Taysom Hill. So I drop Taysom Hill for Leggett. I have Waddle, Tillman, Sutton, and Ladd. Hill has Falcons at Hull next, and he eats against them. Whole plate. Yeah. I like Taysom Hill. He's fun to watch. I'm not playing him in fantasy. I'm not picking him up because, again, it's the fear of missing out. You're going to want to play him every week because when he eats. But it's feast or famine. Feast or famine with him. But I will drop him for Leggett because I like Leggett. Especially I want to see what he does going forward. At the moment, I got Waddle over him for the rest of the season, but I'll revisit that in 2 weeks when we see what Leggett does as the number one. So I want to give the kid a couple weeks to get used to being the number one, and then we'll talk about it again. But I like Leggett. I have him in a couple of leagues. I haven't been playing him. I haven't said some of the leagues I have him in are dynasty leagues, and I love him as a dynasty player because I think for him, I think it's next year and going forward for real shine. But now without Deontay there, I think Leggett's he's gonna start getting more targets. He's got to start showing up and start showing out. So, but yeah, I would drop Taysom Hill for Leggett. And again, like I said, if you drop D Hop, someone's going to use a waiver claim on him. If you drop Taysom Hill, no one's using a waiver claim on him. They're not. They're just not. So, and here's the thing: if you can pick up Leggett now, do it now, while you don't have to use a waiver claim, and before this week. Because if he goes out there and balls out this week, now you got to fight through your waiver claim, and you got to hope you have the top waiver priority to pick him up. Or if you're in a league where you have to bid, right? Bidding to pick him up. If you don't have to do that now, do it now. And hey, if he stinks it up next week and you don't want him, you'll be able to go out there and pick up Taysom Hill next week. But if you drop D-Hop, you're not picking him up because someone's going to put a waiver claim in on him tomorrow morning. That's what's going to happen with that. So that's where I'm at with that, T. Hope that helps, brother. Hope that helps. How else are we looking, guys? We got any more questions? Any more trade talk? What do we got going on? What do we got going on, man? I'll tell you who I like. I like the Colts with Flacco in there. I like Michael Pittman. I like Josh Downs. That helps Jonathan Taylor. Anthony Richardson. I've been saying it all year, guys. If you've been with me all year, Michael, you know it. I don't like Anthony Richardson. I think he was highly overrated going into the season. He's a guy who played 4 games last year, and all of a sudden everybody's drafting him in the top 4 or 5 rounds. And they're like, oh, this guy's great. AR-15, I love him. No, he's not that great. So he needs more playing time, but he's not going to. The Colts don't want to give it to him right now because they want to win. And Flacco gives them an opportunity to win. That's all there is to it. They're just a better team with Flacco than they are with Richardson. And if you have Jane Daniels, he's a must start every week. Every week now. Jane Daniels is a sit. You just sit him and forget. Sit him and forget. Now, if you have Jane Daniels, odds are you probably have another really good quarterback. So then we can debate, hey, do I start this guy or I start Jane Daniels? I'm telling you right now, a lot of the times the answer to that question right now is Jane Daniels. I love Jane Daniels is your offensive rookie of the year right now. And to me, it's not even close. It's not even close. Caleb Williams isn't even in the same. You can't mention the two guys in the same breath. You just can't. Jaden is better. And hey, I get he had 1 touchdown last week, but it was when it counted. That Hail Mary was, dude, that was fun. I loved it. Loved it. And it's, hey, that 1 touchdown, 1 more than Caleb had last week. So I'm just saying. Jaden was removed from the injury report this week. So I love that. I love Jaden tomorrow going up against the Giants. They give up the 11th most points to quarterbacks. So yeah, roll with him. And a reminder, guys, we talk about this every week. Is Pollard playing? I don't know, John. I was actually looking at that earlier because I am a Pollard owner in one of my leagues. Maybe 2. I know at least 1. Here's the latest that I have on Pollard. He's going to test the foot before the game. He does say he feels good and they expect him to play, but nothing for sure. And dealing with a foot injury, really easy to re-aggravate. So for me, I want to play somebody instead of Pollard this week. While he may start the game, might not finish it. Dealing with a foot injury, especially for a running back, a foot injury is big. Big. Drop the Bengals defense special team for Bears. Yes. Bengals suck. Bengals can't stop a nosebleed. They can't. I don't know, man. I don't like the Bengals. And here's the thing. Let's just be honest about the Bears. The only reason why the Bears are halfway as good as they are this year is because of that defense. I like the Bears defense. Now, I'm saying all this, and I haven't even looked at the matchups, to be honest with you. Chicago's playing Arizona. That's a little bit tougher. Cincinnati is playing Vegas. Here's my thing though. Like they got you -4 points last week. This is Yahoo default scoring. 15 points against Cleveland. Okay, Cleveland wasn't good then. Still not great. They're better with Jameis. 8 points against the Giants. 1, 2, -2 against Washington. 9-2. Here's the thing. The Bengals just aren't good defensively. So unless they get some turnovers, yeah. I still like the Bears better going up against Arizona. I like the Bears defense. I don't like their offense, but the one thing they do pretty good is they play defense well. Got you 3 points last week, 9, 14, 8, 5, 6, 24. You have the huge big play potential out of that defense. They're going to get you a couple of takeaways. I, I'm go I'm going with the Bears. Done running with the Bears. Kyler is going to throw it in my D. No Diddy. And that's you know what he might, but again, we've seen absolutely nothing out of the Bengals defense. Absolutely nothing. The Bengals defense this year. Um, so yeah. Is Madison feasible if he doesn't play? We talking about Tennessee running back? Is his name Madison? I thought. Okay, hold on a second here. Yeah, no Spears. I think who they're looking at starting and playing. If that's what if we're talking about Tennessee running backs, I think the guy who will end up getting the start is going to be Julius Chestnut. Is the guy who will get the carries there, or you talk about Madison from Vegas. That's Madison, Mattison, not Madison. Let me know, John, if that's who you're talking about. I just want to make sure that's who we're talking about. I mean, I like Alexander Madison. Yeah. Now, Zamir White they're looking to get him more involved, but if you're looking at a PPR format, which John, I don't think you are, right? You're non-PPR, you're standard. I hope you got a better option if we're talking about Alexander Madison. But let me know, John, for sure if that's who we're talking about. Yeah, go with the Bears. And here's the thing. Here's how. Take this for what it is. I'm Lions fan. I hate the Bears, but I like the Bears defense. How about that? In fantasy, I've always the Bears defense has always been pretty solid. As bad as the Bears have been, but hey, give me the Bears. The Bears. Madison if Pollard can't go. Yeah, I mean, if Pollard can't go, yeah, you could play Madison. Is that our only option, John? The problem is Madison has been okay. In your non PPR, if I do remember right, I kind of scrolled up if this is still the same league. If this is still the same league you were talking about earlier, you said it's non PPR. With Madison, where you pick up with him is in your PPR formats, where you get your points for your reception, right? And he catches the ball in the backfield a decent amount of times. Last week he had 5 catches, 29 yards, but that's depending on your scoring, that's like 7 points right there, right? Again, depending on your scoring, if you're 1 per 10 points or 1 per 15, then okay, that's 6.5 points, whatever it is. So, but yeah, I mean, if Pollard can't go, yeah, you play Madison, right? Um, they're both playing at noon, so you should know something for sure. I almost, I like Pollard if he plays. Um, definitely bigger play potential out of him. Zamir White, they're going to start working him into the the field a little bit more with Madison. So Madison could use some touches based off of that. But Pollard's not playing. Yeah, go with Madison. Again, unless we have some other options. Pick PPR flex. How many am I picking? Up to 30 already. Okay, you're up to 30 already due to Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson played great. Starting Darnold, Chase Brown, Aaron Jones, A.J. Brown, and McBride. Well, Brian Thomas might not play. Puka might not play. I'm lukewarm on Hubbard. I like Tillman, especially PPR format. Give me Tillman. He's looked great the last 2 weeks. I think he's definitely a great option with Jameson there. You got me 2 weeks. You got me good good production 2 weeks in a row, I don't want to miss you on that third week. Yeah, give me Tillman of those options. We just don't know what we're getting out of Brian Thomas. We don't know what we're getting out of Puka if either one of those guys are playing. So then it rolls down between Hubbard and Tillman. Give me Tillman, PPR format for sure. I like Tillman in that situation. Yeah, Tillman it is. There we go, man. And hopefully it works. Always hoping it works. But that's who I would start in that situation. 100%. I love Puka. I love Brian Thomas has played great the last few weeks, but you're dealing with two guys who are dealing with injuries, and we don't know if they're going to play. And with a knee injury that Puka has already been dealing with this season. Again, guys, we're still dealing with a knee injury. He did take the fight with the team. I just it's a high risk, high reward. But Tillman, I like. I think Tillman's gonna be good. And it's a tough matchup against Seattle too with Puka. So that's where we're at with that. Yeah, we're going Tillman. John, Bucky or Madison are my options half PPR. Is Bucky playing? Because I think Bucky's dealing with a toe injury, if I'm not mistaken, and he is questionable. Revealed that Irving was tending to a toe injury and may linger for the rest of the campaign after not practicing Thursday and Friday. Returned in limited capacity on Saturday. But here's the thing. Okay, we're not going to consider Bucky Irving because he plays Monday night. And if he doesn't play, we're effed. We're screwed. So in that case, again, this is what I talk about every week, guys. And I'm going to continue to talk about it. I'm going to continue to preach it. Monday night, you got a guy that you like, but he's going in questionable. We don't know if he's going to play. Saturday afternoon, we have player B, Madison in this case, fully healthy. He's going to play. May lose a few snaps, but he's going to play. I'm taking the player who's healthy and going to play on Sunday versus the player who's questionable and might not play on Monday. See James Cook a few weeks ago. We got burned with James Cook. All reports were he's trending towards playing. He's going to play. Hour before game time, he's not playing. And we're like, crap. What do we do? Yeah. Yeah. So that's where I'm at with that. Tillman is about to out Brian Thomas Jr. Brian Thomas Jr. the rest of the season. Better fantasy QB, more targets, close enough target-wise. I mean, look, we know what we get with Jameis. And here's the other thing we get with Jameis, a ton of garbage time. He's great at racking up points in garbage time. We used to call it the Blake Bortles effect. Blake Bortles was trash for 3 quarters, and he'd come into the fourth quarter, throw 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Meanwhile, they're down by 5 touchdowns, right? I'm kind of with you as far as, again, I kind of want to. I like Brian Thomas Jr. I think Jacksonville's played a little bit better as of late. Brian Thomas Jr.'s played great as of late, but gosh. Is it weird that I kind of like Jameis more than I do Trevor Lawrence right now? Trevor Lawrence just hasn't been good this year, which is crazy because 2 years ago he was great. But yeah, I like Tillman right now. We'll see what happens. We need Brian Thomas to get healthy first and foremost. As he's hurt and Tillman's not, I'm going Tillman 100%. Waddle or McMillan non-PPR? Ooh. Non-PPR. What did McMillan? McMillan had a good game last week, right? McMillan's questionable. Hamstring, was limited practice Saturday. I mean, he had 4 catches, 35 yards, 3 catches, 15 yards. No, I'm still gonna stick with Waddle. Still gonna stick with Waddle in that case. Waddle's a better wide receiver. Um, I do like right now. I like Baker more than I do Tua. Um, just because Tua's one hit away from being done, and if Tua's done, Waddle's done. Then I like McMillan more than I do Waddle. But yeah, give me a Waddle. Waddle's a better wide receiver. I like him. Trevor Lawrence is breaking the athletic rules. Athletes with long hair are supposed to be good. Well, usually your blonde hair, long blonde hair guys are linebackers, with the last name of Matthews, or AJ Hawk back in the day. But yeah, they normally have that long hair, long flowing locks. I mean, see Detroit and Alex Anzalone. If you're if you're a linebacker with long blonde hair, odds are you're pretty good at football. Uh, so if Trevor Lawrence was a linebacker, I think he might be a little bit better body type wise with the hair essentially. Um, I don't know that it's necessarily Trevor Lawrence as much as I think it's time for a coaching change there. Um, they just they've broken him there. Let's just say that. I think Trevor Lawrence could do with a new head coach there. Doug Peterson has just been. He was a one hit wonder. Peterson, since he won the Super Bowl, has been right. But yeah, I don't think Peterson's a good coach anymore. I think the game's passed him by. He got lucky that year. Um, and yeah, I think I think they need a new coach there. I think Peterson's reached his limit. But also, like, it's not just Lawrence, but um, ETN hasn't looked good this year either. Um, and when you got two guys like that have been playing good, then all of a sudden this year they're not. I kind of want to lean towards the head coach versus the players, because the talent level is there. Starting Eagles over Chargers, crazy? No, no. Who are the Eagles playing though? I I think the Eagles defense has been pretty good this year. Philadelphia. They're playing Jacksonville. Okay. I mean the Eagles defense has been all right. I do like the Chargers defense. Let's see here. They're playing Cleveland. Cleveland. And here's the thing. You can't factor in Cleveland's rating against defenses right now because that's all based on not Jameis, Deshaun Watson. Um, I don't think that's crazy. I still want to say, man, Jacksonville just hasn't been that great. Yeah, no, that's why I traded Brian Thomas Jr. twice today. But in your defense, I mean, you got really good deals too, right? I like Brian Thomas Jr. this year, and I do like him going forward. I think he's figured something out with Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence has figured something out with him, and I look for him to make some good production the rest of the season. But based on what you got, yeah, I mean, you got two really good deals. No, I don't think that's crazy, and I don't know that I can necessarily talk you out of that one, T. Um, Nor do I know that I want to. I like the Chargers. but I think the Browns are better with Jameis. Now let's factor in. Here's what we got to factor in though. It's Jameis. He's going to throw a pick or two, maybe even a pick six. He's pretty good at throwing pick sixes. I would love to see what his touchdown numbers are if you include all of his pick sixes. Um, but no, but I mean, and the Eagles, you got a good matchup with the Eagles going against Jacksonville. I A flip of a coin. Um, I think with the Eagles, you may not get the turnovers with the Eagles. Low yardage against them, low points against them. I don't think Jacksonville scores a lot of points against them. And that Eagles offense clicking on firing on all cylinders is definitely going to help, right? Um, but with the Chargers, you're probably going to get a turnover or two. Again, you're going to at least get one pick out of Jameis. I don't think there's any way he gets out of the game without throwing a pick. I think the Chargers defense has played real good this year. Um, yeah, you're going to get more turnovers. Definitely more potential for a pick six. Where with your defense possibly scoring a point there with the Chargers. I think maybe the Eagles, in this case, I think the Eagles are the safe play, but the Chargers, I think, have a higher ceiling in this case, T. That's where I'm at with that. That's where I'm going to sit at with that. I think your Chargers have a higher ceiling because they're going up against Jameis. Now, Jameis could also throw 3 touchdowns, right? But with those 3 touchdowns, he's going to have a pick or two and maybe a pick six. So I think Cleveland scores more points than Jacksonville does tomorrow, but Cleveland will finish with more turnovers than Jacksonville will. How about that? So depending on how incentivized turnovers are, that's where I'm at with that. Vikings or Chargers? Okay, John, let's get into it. Vikings or the Chargers? Who is Minnesota playing? Minnesota is playing Indy. I don't know. I want to go Chargers. I think Indy's a different beast with Joe Flacco in there. I think Indy's a good team with Joe Flacco in there. So I want to go ahead and go with the Chargers versus Cleveland instead of the Vikings versus. And they got Jonathan Taylor back too, as well. So yeah. Eagles versus Jags, Chiefs versus Bucks, or Broncos and Ravens. Eagles. If you're asking me which defense I'm playing, the Eagles, the Chiefs, or the Broncos, I'm going with the Eagles. There's just two. I really like the Broncos defense. I really like the Broncos defense, but I also really like the Ravens offense. I really like the Ravens offense. I really like the Chiefs defense, but I really like that Bucks offense. I like the Eagles defense. I love that they're playing the Jags. I'm strictly looking at the offenses they're playing in this case. While I believe the Broncos and the Chiefs are a better defense than the Eagles, based on the matchup, give me the Eagles. Because I mean, we saw Baker didn't have Chris Godwin or Mike Evans last week and still slang that ball all over the field. And he's going to have to worry about keeping up with I hate to say Pat Mahomes because it's not Pat Mahomes is lighting the world on fire. He hasn't been great this year, but he's got to keep up with scoring with that Chiefs offense. So they're going to be looking to score a ton and in buckets. And then the Ravens, there's just so much talent there, so much talent. Lamar's been playing good. Now they did lose to the Browns last week, but it's a different Browns team. It really is. That team's way different with Jameis in there versus Deshaun Watson. I would have pulled the trigger on that move a long time ago. I wouldn't have waited till week 8 to make that move when you didn't have an option because Watson blew out his ACL. But yeah, in that case, again, it's I'm looking at the matchup there, and I like the Eagles versus the Jags better than I do the Chiefs versus the Bucks or the Broncos versus the Ravens. So that's where I'm going to land up on that one, T. That's where I'm going to land on that. All right, guys, we've been going for a little bit over an hour. I'm getting ready to call it a night. If we got any other questions, throw them in there real quick before I get out of here. But if we got nothing else, guys, it's always fun. Michael, I know you're there. Hey, what do we say every week, Michael? Dubs for everyone, right? Let's get those dubs. Everybody's getting wins. Let's do this. Thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely appreciate you. As always, I'm going to post a thank you short after this. If any other questions come up between now and tomorrow, guys, throw them in there. We got 9:30 game tomorrow morning, a little bit, but I'll get to every question I possibly can, as well as my partner, Rapid Dave, will be in there answering questions and things. But thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely appreciate you guys. Let's get those dubs, Michael. Everyone else, have a great night. T, thanks for coming in, John. Who else we got in here tonight? Mostly T and John, right? And Michael as always. But thank you guys so much. Would definitely appreciate it. I'll talk to you. Yep, W's tomorrow. Let's go. Talk to you guys later. Deuces.